Hey guys, welcome back. It's Steven with Down the River Forge, and today I'm in New Orleans, Louisiana at Andrew's Welding and Blacksmith shop. And we're gonna sit down today with Darryl Reeves, who has over 50 years of blacksmithing experience. So stay tuned, this is gonna be a really cool video. We're gonna learn a lot. So let's go look inside. Ton of vices, anvils, Little Giant. This was made in 1945. Foot pedal right here. Another anvil right here with the swage block. Piranha. So this will bend and punch and do all sorts of awesome stuff with your material. Just a look around the shop. So Mr. Reeves, can you explain to people what this is if they don't know what this is, what we're looking at?
This is a coal forge. This forge actually is out of the I'm actually burning coal, green coal out of the ground. And what I'm gonna do is when I crank this forge up, this forge is, you're gonna see green smoke coming out of it.
Okay.
I'm actually burning the sulfur off and I'm making coke. Now you're gonna notice, you ever worked with coal?
No sir.
Okay, feel that. Feel the weight on it?
Yeah.
Now this is coke.
Oh, wow.
That's after the soap. This is your clean fuel.
That's super light.
And what you see in the bottom of this pot, that's coke. Actually, I don't see no clippers. And what that is, that's a clicker. And what that is all the fuel's gone out of this. If you look at the bottom of this pot, you see a clicker cleaner. And what I have is a piece over here that you shake it and get that click out the bottom of the pot and open up your airflow.
I got you, you need good airflow.
This forge goes back to a country town, probably the 1800s. Parts on this is the pot is probably better than 200 years old.
Wow.
This is probably 200 years old or better. Yeah, but what I have on my forge is, I also have a blower from the 20s. And what I have is gates on these things. Depending on what I'm working on or how I feel like working, either I use the blower, which gives me my air from the bottom, and I have this hand blower on here. Now what I have on here is gates. I have a gate on this side, and I have a gate in the front of this one. Depending on which one I'm working with, I close the gate. And use the one I want. Now me personally, I can actually say I'm a blacksmith at heart. I love what I do. And if I'm doing something like this, I'm probably gonna play with this and I'm gonna work with my hand blower because I can turn it off and I can get my heat up and control my heat better. If I'm trying to do something more than one piece, or depending on what I'm working on, I have, most of the time I run my air blower. Now, this forge actually gets 3,100 degrees. That's where air coming in the bottom of that coal. My gas forge over there, it gets up to 2,000 degrees. So it's 100 degrees lower than what steel takes to melt.
Right.
So I could do production in that one without worrying about my steel melt.
Overheating.
This thing, I could go in there with a piece. I could go in there with a piece like this and have it in the forge and get distracted. And I'll come out and they won't have nothing on the end.
It'll be going, yeah.
If you notice, I have my green coal on this side, I have my coke on this side. If I'm doing any forge welding, I use this. But I control my fire according to whatever project I'm working on, because I'm burning I'm controlling my heat all the time.
Right.
All my tools, I get kind of carried away on my tools.
That's a fancy tool. I like that. Perks of being a blacksmith.
Yeah.
So just light the paper, and what'd you put inside that paper, Mr. Reeves?
A little wood. A little. Drop that on there to keep my fire alarm from going off.
A vent goes right up through the ceiling.
And if you take a look outside, you'll see it coming out the back.
Oh yeah.
I got my little niche in the city.
Neighbors know when you're working, huh? Because they got all that smoke pouring out.
That's the good thing about it. I don't have no neighbors.
That's good. That's a good thing too.
Yeah. You know, pretty much own everything around.
How long does that usually take to get fired up, Mr. Reeves?
It's already fired up.
From the time you light it though, when do you want to start putting your work in there, your material? Oh yeah.
Doing it right now.
Oh, it's
Right now, I want to take and heat up the metal.
we're cooking now.
smoke you see burning off of that, that's right now this is a dirty fire because I'm burning sulfur off the coal. To get a clean fire, I would burn this side of my fire, which is the coke. I'm just doing a little demonstration just to show you how fast this thing gets hot. Anytime I'm working my metal, you're always working with it by the color of your metal. And in my shop, I actually have an overhead light. And depending on what I'm working on, I make my corner darker.
Oh yeah.
That way I can see the color of the metal. All depends on what I'm working on like that.
Then Mr. Reeves, you said this is the hand cranked airflow, right?
Hand cranked airflow.
So
if I was taking clothes, I have a little gate on the side of it. And on this gate, if I was to open this up, the air actually be coming out of it. But if I start cranking it, it's going into the fire. How fast it got hot. And that's kicking at least 18, 1900 degrees. And if I wanted to take and do a forge weld, I would bring that temperature up to 2100, which is when you start seeing sparks, like a sparkler. As a kid, you have these sparklers.
Oh yeah.
Okay, when you see that coming up out this fire, that's 2100 degrees. And that's when your material is pretty much about to melt out. And if I was to hit it with a maul, basically that way. Purposely destroying it, but you see those sparks like that?
Yes, sir.
This is at its melting point.
Ooh, yeah.
That's when you're taking it. And if you want to forge weld, if I want to join this metal with another piece of metal, and back in the day, it was the only form of welding that they had. And you will take two pieces of metal, bring them up to that temperature, put them on top of each other, and join it into one piece of metal.
And that's, you know, back in the day, we're talking 17th, 18th century.
All the way up to the invention of electric welding. Electric welding was developed in 1890, and that was in Europe, and the first form of welding was TIG welding. TIG. The battery was big as a room that they used. Electric welding didn't really take off. This is the jigs I've made for different projects I've done. And depending on what I'm working on, if I need a particular jig for it, or a particular die for it, say like, if I'm doing a square bone, I need a pin on the end of it. Okay. And I have different sizes, and then I have different types. This one here has a stop in it because I only wanted that one to be so long. And if I did my and if I was doing something where I needed a curl, which I have so many different types, this is something I freehand, so that when I make my project, I have twins. I'll make something off of this and it'll be exactly the same every time. And And if you look at these jigs I have, where the big heavy plate, that plate probably go back to the late 70s, early 80s.
Oh wow.
That's my early jigs.
Yeah.
My jigs today, you can pretty much follow my career with my jigs by the different designs. Now this is how I make them.
So the better your jigs get, the better your art's getting, huh?
The better I get, the better understanding through the years of my career. And it goes for anything that's in my shop. I pretty much, everybody improves.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing. I learn a lot. My early career is strictly out of the books. After it was hard to find a blacksmith, and I finally came across a blacksmith, I actually hired him to work in my shop. And I started picking his brain, and he was a furrier. That was James. And through James, I met other blacksmiths, and such as Buddy Lennon. He was in Covington. I used to volunteer my time with Buddy. I'll close up my shop here, and I'll go to Covington and work with him if he had a project. He was a retired furrier.
Just constantly learning and picking people's brains.
And that's all this was happening in early 90s and through the 2000s. And I've met quite a few blacksmiths, which I was a kid at the time. Now I'm one of the older ones. Most of the people I apprentice under is pretty much gone now.
Now people are picking your brain.
Yeah, now people picking my brain.
Mr. Reeves, this cool this hammer here. Is this a power hammer, correct?
That's a trip hammer.
A trip hammer.
That's a little giant. That's a 50.
Can we look at this and you just tell me a little bit about this?
Now what you have on this is, you do not have bearings. This particular design came out in the 1800s. This particular machine was built in 1945. And the one thing about this one has a removable switch block in it. Most of them, they're solid all the way up. And you don't have bearings on this, you have a babbitt. And the babbitt is basically, this shaft is wrapped with lead. So when you're running it, you need to put Earl, you have little cotton spigots in here. You have to put Earl in this to keep it lubricated so that this stays tight. This particular piece I found up north in a pasture, and I had it rebuilt. And I've been having this probably 25 years now.
Put a lot of work on this thing, Mr.
Probably
Reeves?
30 years.
Wow, yeah.
I'm the guy that actually built the fence in front of the Cabildo.
I know that, that's impressive.
I actually used this piece to beat the points on the 1-inch square ball that's on the pickets on that fence.
That's incredible.
And it saved, and what this does, it saves your arm. I'm gonna just crank it up just to show you.
Yes, sir.
Instead of me beating on that with an anvil, I'll have this. All you do is this. And that saves your arm. You have to realize, I'm fortunate enough, most blacksmiths have trouble with their arm. And I was fortunate enough between the book knowledge and apprenticing under people that knew better, which by the time they found out, they was having shoulder replacement and everything else. You have to realize, when you're beating on an anvil, steel, what you're beating on is steel. That vibration is coming up that maul, up your wrist, elbow, into your shoulder. There's a proper way of throwing a maul. And when you come down, a maul is a tool. I have different weight mauls around here. This is something that you're basically throwing it, and it's a controlled fall. If you have to move more material, usually have your maul. If you don't have to, use a lighter maul. But when you're making contact, when that maul or your hammer makes contact, you want it loose in your hand. You don't want to be doing that, because that's the fastest. And I can actually say I'm making 75 in August, and I'm fortunate enough not to have home problems.
Congratulations, man. When's your birthday in August?
10th.
10th? My daughter's the 22nd.
Okay.
I hope I got that right, because it's on camera.
It's on camera, so you got it right.
Thank you for having me today. I really appreciate this. So I just kind of want to go into, where are you from, Mr. Reeves?
Born and raised right in New Orleans. My family's out of, on my mama's side's out of Donaldsonville.
Donaldsonville.
Yeah, it was grandfather's property between two plantations, Powlock and Sonoma Plantation. He was actually a blacksmith on Sonoma Plantation.
Wow, incredible. So that's where, this is your grandfather?
That was my mama's father.
Mama's father.
Yeah, on my daddy's side, is Native American. That's my grandmother on my daddy's side, and my grandfather on my daddy's side was from Puerto Rico. He was Native Indian from Puerto Rico. And I had on my mama's side, my grandmother, she's first generation French.
Okay.
My grandfather, his ancestry came, my great-great-grandmother on my grandfather's side, on my mama's side, she came here as a slave in 1803, the year that the signing of the Louisiana Purchase.
Wow. So, grandfather who was a blacksmith. Did you know this growing up? Or?
We used to see him because in Donaldsonville, we spent our summers in Donaldsonville as kids, and that was in the middle of 200-300 acre sugarcane plantations, and that was our backyard. That's where we played. And even though my grandfather was up in age at the time, he was running the blacks. He was basically running the shop that was repairing equipment for plantation,
Farm equipment.
right? Plows and stuff for the sugarcane plantation.
That was your first sort of look into that type of work?
It never even crossed my mind, but I always had interest in metal, so I guess that's where I got hooked.
That's in your blood.
Because we used to be out there either crawfishing or hunting or fishing, and we would pass by him while he was in the workshop, and all he did was run us away. But we kids, and we like seeing equipment, heavy equipment, and all that stuff being done, and fires and stuff. So and we kids, we just having fun.
Yeah. When you're busy doing all that fun stuff, catching a glimpse of the work, you want to go back and have fun. But that's cool that you were exposed to that. Because I didn't grow up hands-on or anything. Right now I make knives, but you at least sound like you had somebody in your family.
Without realizing the bug was catching. But I actually was caught with the bug. Because I always did enjoy working with metal.
Yeah, that's cool. So, how old were you during these times? Like you would go out there as a young boy?
Yeah, I was out there. My summers was out there. I mean, I'm a city boy, but I'm also a country boy. Yeah. I mean, all my, from baby to teenagers, I mean, that's where I was at. Me and my brothers, and I had an uncle, Uncle Jerome. He was close to the same. Me and we was a year apart. Not even a year apart, but we was pretty close. That's my youngest uncle on my mama's side, and so we had. I wouldn't change it for the world.
you think it's a good mix, like kids now, you know, how you came up, you got the city and then you got to go to the country. Do you think that's good for someone coming up? Because you learn different types of ways of life.
I can't complain.
You know, that's a good way to do it.
You know, I enjoy my life.
That's awesome, man. So, let's see. So, like teenage years, what are you into? Are you into sports, into working? What was going on into
teenage years?
Chasing girls?
Pretty much, yeah. I don't want to get into all that.
All the hey, man. Hey, we don't have to talk about that. You started smiling, so I just had to put it out there. I'm just messing.
I enjoyed myself.
Yes, sir. Yeah, hey, we all did. But were you know, did you start?
I was into sports. I mean, where my shop is at, I grew up a block away. A family business was right at the corner of the block where my shop's at.
Oh, wow.
Everybody, I mean, this neighborhood was pretty tight-knit neighborhood.
Yeah.
I mean, you couldn't do nothing 6 blocks away from here without your parents finding out.
Oh, yeah.
By the time you got home.
You were already in trouble.
Yeah, so this was a pretty tight-knit, well, the men and the parents in this neighborhood was, when they say it takes a village to raise, that's the truth.
Yeah, and that's kind of cool. I don't think you really have that much these days.
No.
You know,
you better know your neighbors.
Yeah, that's kind of sad.
I'm in this. I mean, my shop's in this neighborhood, but I pretty much know almost a lot of people. I know a lot of people out this neighborhood.
And you're from right around here, right?
I'm right here.
Is anyone still from you coming up? Are they still in the neighborhood?
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Yeah, they I mean, they come. If you would have been there yesterday, a couple of them came to the shop. I'm always. We always have something going on, especially on Fridays. We usually burling or grilling or something outside. And say like today, I bet you 1, 2 o'clock, you're gonna see traffic where people just be passing just to see what's going on.
Just to say what's happening.
And if we got something going on, they just pause.
Man, that's a good little sense of community you got. That's cool. So, childhood, you're in Donaldsonville, you're splitting time, you're in the city, you grew up right around here. High school years, what year did you?
High school was, I went to John Mack in high school. John Mack, that's on Esplanade. The first year Blacks went to John Mack was the year I went.
And that's on Broad right there? Broad.
That's right off of Broad Street.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And John Mack was it was an interesting period in my life.
So you're saying black kids could only go to McDonald?
Well, no, that's the first year. John McDonald was actually a white school.
Okay.
Public white school.
The first year
that blacks went to John Mack was the first year I went.
And what year was this?
That was in 66, 67, like that. No, that's 66. Oh man, that's a question.
Like mid 60s. Yeah. Was that an adjustment for you, or like did you have a good time? Or was
I don't know. I was pretty well rounded. Yeah. My parents. I always looked at an experience as being enjoyable. I like different experiences in your life. My dad told me a long time ago, if you didn't have hiccups in your life, life would be boring.
Yes, sir.
So,
yeah, I
take it as it comes.
Yes, sir.
And deal with the situation.
That's a good way to look at it. So this is, now we're like late 60s. You told me earlier, I saw your Army plate on your truck when I pulled up.
Yeah,
so
out of high school, I went to, we have Avondale Shipyard here.
Okay, that's right. Yeah.
And I took in, Avondale was teaching you how to weld.
Okay.
And after you taught you how to weld, he gave you a job. So I worked with the pipe department. I was a welder. First I was a tacker, then a welder for night shift pipe department at Avondale. And I worked that through the 70s and 1970s I got drafted. I got drafted into the Army, did my basic IT at Fort Polk, Tigerland, did lucked out, didn't actually, even though I had orders for Vietnam, they just changed my orders.
Yeah.
They had about 7 of us that day. I was in communications, 36K, and apparently they needed my experience or my training, and they called it the Honest John Unit. It was something that, it was a nuclear warhead airborne unit.
Wow.
That they actually put me in charge of Battery C in the Honest John Unit. And I was in charge of communications for the remainder of my 2 years in the service.
That's cool. And you were in Germany, right? You were stationed in Germany?
I was in Gießen, Germany.
Wow.
A lot of people don't even know they had a base in Germany, in
Right.
Gießen.
Yeah.
But I have 2 brothers behind me.
Yeah.
You know, as far as I was concerned, I was going to Vietnam.
Yeah.
I just figured just like anything else,
Yeah.
I was making the best of it.
And you were ready.
Something about the military have a way of brainwashing,
Yeah.
and they getting you psyched out to do
Yeah.
what you're gonna face with.
They do a good job at that.
And
You're saying people were coming to you in the quarter and saying, hey, can you?
if I knew anybody that made this old hardware, and one day a woman told me I want she'll pay for a strap hitch, and that's what got my interest.
And so from there,
I started because nobody was doing it right. Not one. They didn't have one decent metal restorations in the city.
in the entire city of New Orleans.
Had a market all to myself.
And why do you think that is, or was?
To be trained and to understand, to be a blacksmith, you have to like it. You have to enjoy it. You have to be willing to be educated in a world that you really didn't have blacksmiths.
Right.
I mean, blacksmiths went out in the industrial age.
Right.
I mean, the largest blacksmith shop went out in the 1920s, and that was in New York. And so nobody was making this old hardware properly.
Right.
And my kids was in school. I'd take them to the library. If I had a particular latch or hardware to be made, I'll find me a book in the library. And I used to go to these old bookstores and find old blacksmith books, and started educating myself on how to do it properly. And that's how I got in the market.
That's incredible.
Yeah, market. I did that through the 80s. By the end of the 80s, I was making more money with my little hustle than what I was doing on my regular job.
Yes, sir.
And my building went up for sale in 1990. And
here we are.
And here we are.
Ever since. Mr. Reeves, I kind of want to end it, man, if you don't mind, just kind of sharing, you know, if someone's starting out, or, you know, what's, if you could sum it up in a couple of words, what's the most important piece of running a business like this, where it's you're hands-on? Like, what are the challenges, and how do you just keep pushing forward to get better and learn and grow, not only as a person, as an artist, as a metal worker, but as an actual business? Could you share?
That's something that I'm fortunate enough. My wife, she has the downside of this business, because she actually takes care of the books.
I love that. That your wife is solid. She's behind the scenes, kind of keeping everything going here. And we were talking about just how important it is to keep going and grinding and pushing through in business. And
handling running the business is not, it's something that have to understand, and my wife, she has the part of the business that's not the fun part.
Yes, sir.
But when we have a lot of money, no problem.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're looking at them bills.
Yeah.
So she has the worst part of the project.
Yeah.
But
happy wife, right?
Yeah, but we've been doing this now for most of our life, and she's ready to retire. Yeah. And it's time for her to retire.
What about you? You said you're gonna be 75 in August, right?
Yeah, but I enjoy what I do for that. I mean, I don't do that heavy stuff no more.
Yeah.
I don't do all those big projects. Now, I'm not saying I wouldn't, but if it's an interesting project, a real artistic project, I have people around me I could take, and I've trained a lot of apprentices, and I could get on the phone and I could get help very, very easily.
Yes, sir.
And this is the type of work you have to be trained. You have to understand what's happening with it. You know, this is the type of shop that you. Apprentices is something that we need to have more of, but it's an expensive project to train somebody to do what I do for a living.
Yes, sir.
We have a program. We have a master craft guild that me and a couple other guys, we try to train people.
And that's called the New Orleans Masters Craft Guild.
Craft Guild.
Yeah, so I'll put a link. Is there a website for that?
Right.
I'll put that in the video and let people go check that out. Mr. Reeves.
The biggest thing with that is getting money to support it.
And that all comes from the state, or?
Oh, I don't mess with no government.
Okay.
I don't deal with politics.
I understand.
I don't want to be bothered with them.
Hey, I don't blame you.
So that could be a hang up, but I think we've done pretty good.
Well, that's awesome, Mr. Reeves. Well, Mr. Reeves, I really appreciate your time, man. Darryl Reeves, everyone. Thank you, sir. I appreciate your time.